Hey chamber music fans, Michelle Schumann here with the Austin Chamber Music Center. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our upcoming concert on April 29th and 30th with ACMC. When I'm programming works, I'm always trying to do something a little bit different, things that aren't done. And one thing that I found in a lot of the concerts that I go to is that it's very seldom that British composers, English composers, composers from the UK are featured in any one concert. And it's kind of interesting because certainly the Germans are featured a lot, and the Austrians, and the French a lot, the Spanish even, and even Czech composers get a lot of play. Russian composers as well. But you just rarely see a program that is put together of English composers. And there are a couple composers, English composers, that I just love to death. And I know that you do too. In fact, one of the pieces that people just love, love, love is the Algar Cello Concerto. And I've been thinking about why people love that piece so much and what that has to do with the English idiom. And I think it's this idea of restrained emotionalism that can no longer restrain itself, and at a certain point just sort of opens up and lifts and gets into this sort of hyper-romanticism after being restrained for so long. And I think there's something that really is attractive to that, because there's a buildup of that energy that becomes very satisfying when it finally has that sort of emotional output. And I think that that is true for a lot of English music, especially the music of Sir Edward Algar. And on the concert coming up in the end of April, we'll be featuring his piano quintet that has all those elements to it. It has this sort of dark kind of undersea of restrained emotionalism, and then has hyper-romantic moments where the cap is just comes flying off, and we have that sense of the real soul. Another piece on the program is going to be Vaughn Williams' Lark Ascending, and Vaughn Williams really loved the English tradition. In fact, he did what composers of the 20th century often did. He went out into the villages to collect folk songs, and he collected over 800 English folk songs, and that really became a part of his idiom. And in Lark Ascending, which is based on a poem, the Lark Ascending is an incredible piece of music. I know that most of you know it already, even if you think that you haven't heard it before, because it's a very famous work and has appeared in many different guises. And it opens, it's largely a violin solo accompanied by, in this rendition, string quartet and piano. But it is the idea of the lark kind of ascending. And English music so often refers to landscape and the sort of the land and the scenery in which people were around. And in this case, you can totally depict this idea of a far-off distance, a lark just beginning to sort of open up its wings, its huge span, open up more and more and more until there's a sense of takeoff. And again, it's that sort of idea of restraining that takeoff, that it takes that energy, that it's a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then finally kind of takes off in that element. It's an incredibly beautiful work. I know that you're going to love it. And then we're also featuring Ernest John Moran, who is an English composer born in England, but his roots are Irish. And as he was composing, he studied music in London. And as he was composing, he became more and more enamored with his Irish roots. His father was from Dublin. And he would go back into the countryside in Ireland to compose. And this became more and more a part of his idiom and his style. And I have to tell you that this is a 20th century composer, but definitely a late romantic kind of style. And I have to say, when I come across composers that I haven't heard of, who are old, I tend to be a little bit suspicious of them, and I bet you are too, wondering, why haven't we heard of this person before? Why hasn't his music been featured before? And then you get a little bit uneasy about taking a chance on it. But I heard this work, the string quartet by Ernest John Moran, at the Chamber Music America conference last January, performed by an Irish string quartet. And it was a fantastic piece of music. So right before they started playing, I thought, this can't be that good. I've never heard of this composer. I don't know this piece. How good could this be? There's my ego getting involved there. But I was just taken by the life force of this piece, by the beauty of the melodies, and there are certain moments of action and activity that really resemble Irish folk music, certain jigs that happen that just have this incredible life force. And I was taken by the piece, and right after that I thought, I've got to program this because I have to bring this to the Austin audience, and I know that you're going to love it tons. This whole program kind of fits together with all of those ideas of emotional restraint exploding into fruition, and that paired together with the idea of landscape and the beauty of outdoors and the beauty of nature. I think it's a stunning program, and I think you'll love it too.